Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being with me here today for this video, which is going to be the eyeshadow palette 5000 tag. That's right, I'm doing my very first ever makeup tag video. I'm super excited. I actually saw this video come across my feed as soon as it posted a couple of months ago. It's been about 2 months now. I was on vacation at that time during the summer with my family, and I messaged Chic Geek right away and told her that I loved her video and that I couldn't wait to do it when I got back in town, but that it was going to be a little while because I had a ton of pre-filmed content for my summer vacation. Which of course she was like, that's fine, that's great, I can't wait till you do it. She was so sweet. So anyways, I'm making good on my word. Today I'm doing the eyeshadow palette tag 5000. So let's get into it. As I mentioned, this was originated by Chic Geek. I will leave her channel down below so that you can check out her video. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be reading the prompts right here. So I'm sorry if I look away for a moment, but I've got lots of eye candy to share with you. So I hope you enjoy. In case you're wondering about today's eye look, I did not film it, but the palette that I'm wearing is the ABH Cosmos palette. Yeah, I really love this palette so much. Yeah, getting a lot of good use from it. And yeah, I'm loving this eye look. Let me know what you think down below. Let's go ahead and get started. A palette you wore on a special occasion. Obviously, everybody has been choosing their wedding day. I'm no exception. I'm gonna choose the palette that I wore on my wedding day, but I actually wore this palette every single day at that time in my life. And that is the Tarte in Bloom. I almost called it the Full Bloom because I have that one too, but this is the Tarte in Bloom palette. I wore this palette not only on my wedding day, but also every other day of my life. For work, for fun, for my modeling gigs, for just everyday life. This was the palette that I wore. As you can see, I got a lot of good use out of this palette. Yeah. That's my choice for the first one, is the Tarte in Bloom palette. I wore that on my wedding day. And I did my own makeup. Okay, next, palette you love but is repetitive. This was easy. This is the first palette that came to my mind actually. And that is the, sorry for blinding you. That is the Natasha Denona Gold palette. I'm gonna be careful because my shades are delicate and they fall out. If you look at this palette, you can see that aside from the pop of white right there, it's kind of like an icy color, and this pop of teal shades right there, the palette is basically gold and brown. So you've got golden shimmers, kind of brown mattes, and a slight variation in between the two. I feel like this palette could have been condensed down to maybe like an 8 or 10 pan palette a lot better. But I love that it's got all the shades that it has. I'm just saying this palette seems a bit repetitive. There's not a lot of variety that you can get other than between browns, golds, and the teals. Okay, next is a palette you got your money's worth out of. I'm going to say the MAC Amber 9 pan palette. I almost have pan in a lot of these shades. I've got big dips in most of them. I don't know if you can see, but I wore this palette for a lot of my date nights, a lot of my work day looks, a lot of my like modeling calls and acting jobs. I wore this palette a lot. That was back when I had this palette and I loved it so much. Yeah, I loved this on my lid. I have a dent in that shade that was my crease color. I also really like I love this palette so much. This is literally a perfect color story. And come to think of it, it almost has some similarities from over here, almost. I don't know if you can see it, but I see it. Oh God, tell me I didn't just break a shade. Oh my God. That palette is so delicate. It survived. Okay. Next, number 4. A palette you think is an amazing deal. I'm gonna go with this palette here from Pat McGrath. This palette makes my heart sing every time I look at it, every time I use it. I love every look I've ever created with it. And the reason why I think it's such an amazing deal is because you get all of these different shades in Pat McGrath quality, and the pairing of the shades and tones from her artistry skill level in a more affordable... That came out of nowhere. Excuse me. In a more affordable packaging than in her mothership, and you get so many shades. I love the color story. I love the pigmentation. I love the level of payoff. I love the staying power. I love the blendability. I love the performance of these shades. I love absolutely everything about this palette, except for the fact that it's not a permanent addition in her line. But this is a really, really good deal because I actually saw this today in Marshall's for $14.99. That's right. I think I saw, was it $14.99 or was it $24.99? Either way, you could find this palette now at Marshall's, which I think is an amazing deal because, hello, did you see the palette? I mean, and we're talking about Pat McGrath. Anyway, I did pay full price for this, but I did get like the, I don't know, 10% off or something like that from like when you get the initial launch VIP price. Anyhow, this is going to be the one that I call a really good deal because if this was my only palette in my collection, I would be fine because you've got all the colors, you've got neutrals here, you've got cool and warm tones. I mean, you literally have everything you need in this palette. So I think this is a really good deal. Next, a quad you love but wish was bigger. Okay, that was really easy for me. Here I've got another Pat McGrath for this selection, and that is this palette right here, this little quad right here. I can't remember the name of this. Let me see if I can remember. Yeah, that's right. Nocturnal Nirvana. The Nocturnal Nirvana quad. Oh my God, I wish this was bigger. I wish that there were like some correlating mattes and some other really beautiful shades along these lines and intensity with some correlating mattes to those. So like if this was maybe an 8 or a 10 pan or even a 12 pan palette, oh my God, I die. But literally, I haven't had this that long. When this restocked, I purchased it. I had been waiting for it to come back in stock and praying and hoping and dreaming for like 2 years. But anyway, when this came back in stock, I jumped on it right away. And now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like, hold on. I feel like these would pair really well together. Ooh, I see a look with those coming in my future really soon. Okay, next. Number 6, a palette you love but hate the packaging. This one, the Too Faced maple syrup. The Too Faced maple. I cannot say this. I have such a hard time. The Too Faced maple syrup pancakes palette. I love the packaging, like the outer carton artwork. What I hate about the packaging is that it's not just a simple flip down. See right there, it gets stuck If you don't like line it up just right and tuck the edge into the box, like down in here, then it's not gonna shut and it gets stuck. So I hate this packaging. But I love the carton. Like I love the exterior, the way it looks. I just hate the actual functioning of the palette. Okay, next, number 7, a dream palette from Singles. This was kind of easy. And now that I'm thinking about it and I'm looking over here at the palette that I created and the quad that I said that I would choose to be a larger palette if possible, it seems like I have a thing for this kind of a color story. And I'm not sure if I took inspiration from that or not, but let me just show you the selection. Okay. Oh, good Lord, don't break the shadow. So here's the singles. Let me show them to you. So on this half here, we've got this really beautiful shifty shade from Urban Decay. Here's the name of it. Okay, this with this matte blue. Is it matte or satin? I really don't remember. It's matte. Oh, here this way. It's matte. Okay, so this shifty shade with that matte blue. Also with these 2 greens. This is a mint matte, and this is a deep bright green satin. I really feel that this would go really great with those greens. Also, this matte with this satin. Here we've got a, oh good Lord, can I get it open? A navy matte as the deepening up shade. Of course, kind of like a satin, like a cream champagne satin. This is a shroom from MAC, a matte white, and of course, a standard crease shade, just like a kind of neutral, slightly warm brown. This is Statuesque from Pat McGrath. That would be my dream palette made of singles. Now keep in mind, I'm very limited on the singles that I have. I don't have an extensive collection of singles. I mean, I feel like I do, but compared to a lot of people on Instagram and YouTube, I don't have a ton of singles, and I really don't have very many mattes in my singles. So, and that's because I have so many like matte shadows in my palettes. So I guess I didn't pick those kinds of singles up. I just picked up a few pops here and there. But that's the dream palette that I would create made of singles. Next, number 8 is palettes you would like to combine together. That's going to be the Tropic and the Circo Loco palettes. Let's take a look at them together. Love this palette so much. Here's the Circo Loco and here's the Tropic. These are the palettes that I would like to combine together, because this one gives me the mattes that I feel like would go really great with the Circo Loco. And I actually never really thought of that before until this tag video. So I really appreciate that question being in this. And I feel like I have another stunning combination of palettes that will be coming together in my future for a look. Okay, and next, okay, a palette you wish was smaller. This was easy. This was a no-brainer. This was literally the second palette that came to my mind. But when I started looking at the first palette more closely, I decided, no, I actually like the size of that palette and it's not as repetitive as I thought. So this is actually the palette that I do wish was smaller. And this is the Natasha Denona Purple Blue 28. This is a huge palette and it's a huge price tag. And honestly, like, I just feel like it's so repetitive and not really very blue and purple. I could have been really happy with just the actual blue and purple shades. I feel like all these other tones, like these peachy browns and coppers and kind of slightly purple shimmers, and I feel like I could have done without maybe 10 of these shadows. So that would have really brought the price down and the size, and I feel like I probably would have gotten a lot more use out of this palette that way. But yeah, that's my choice for this one. Okay, for the final question, which is a palette you wish had a face palette. Wait, what? Okay, let me read it. A palette you wish had a matching face palette. Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes. If Makeup by Mario released a face palette that were to go with this, like let's say a blush, a highlighter, and a bronzer, and possibly even a contour, like a 4-pan face palette, I feel like it would be so beautiful and would go really, really nicely with this palette. So there's a hint for you, Makeup by Mario. Get on that, would ya? And while you're at it, bring the Ethereal Eyes back, because like we all want this palette. And when this expires and I'm needing a new one, I'm gonna be really sad if I can't get another one. And it looks now like it's never coming back. So Makeup by Mario, please go ahead and bring this palette back and make a face palette to go with it. I would be so happy and thankful. Anyways, yeah, so those are my answers for my very first ever eyeshadow palette tag. I had so much fun playing along. I hope you enjoyed hearing my answers, and comment down below. I would love to hear some of your choices for some of these answers. Thank you so much for watching. Check out Chic Geek's videos so that you can get the prompts from the creator. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please be sure to click the like button. It really does help my channel out so much. And make sure you're subscribed so we can hang out again. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.